Usually when we talk about a musical supergroup, there's like this expectation of inevitable friction.
Oh, totally. It's almost baked into the concept.
Right. You picture a Hollywood blockbuster with way too many A-list actors where everyone is just fighting for the center of the poster or, the loudest guitar solo or just having the final word.
Yeah, and it's an exhausting dynamic for the listener, really, because while we love the idea of our favorite artists teaming up, the reality is so often just, well, it's a bloated vanity project.
Exactly. The egos completely eclipse the actual music.
And that dynamic is almost a tradition in the music industry at this point. I mean, you throw successful people in a room, and the instinct is usually self-preservation. Everyone wants to be the protagonist of the album.
Which creates a competitive environment, not a collaborative one. But then you look at what happened in the indie rock world in 2023, and that entire cliche just gets flipped completely on its head. So today, we're diving into the anatomy of a modern musical masterpiece to understand how three established solo artists actually managed to put the art before the ego.
It's a really fascinating case study.
It is, and we are pulling from a comprehensive Wikipedia document covering the 2023 studio album, The Record, which is stylized entirely, in lowercase, by the way, by the American indie rock band Boygenius.
To give you a roadmap for this deep dive, we're going to trace the band's highly unique origins, analyze their strategic visual and musical rollout, unpack the critical reception of the music itself, and then finally look at the cultural and commercial impact of the album.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand the gravity of the record, we have to rewind and look at the timeline of how this trio formed.
Right, back to 2018?
Yes, 2018. Boygenius is made up of Julien Baker, Phoebe Bridgers, and Lucy Dacus. And the thing that stands out immediately from the source text is that this wasn't some calculated maneuver by a record label executive, trying to manufacture a hit.
No, not at all.
They originally got together back in 2018 simply because they had booked a co-headlining tour together. Like they just decided to record a 6-song self-titled EP to give themselves something tangible to promote while on the road.
And the casual nature of that 2018 origin story is, well, it's crucial context for what comes later. They formed out of logistical convenience and mutual respect, not out of a desire to conquer the charts.
Right, it was just a fun project.
Exactly. I mean, they would perform their individual solo sets and then come together at the end of the night to play that brief EP. But what makes their trajectory really fascinating is what happened after that tour.
The hiatus.
Yeah, they went on an extended hiatus. They essentially walked away from the group project to focus on their individual careers.
And those solo careers caught fire. I mean, we are talking about Julien Baker's Little Oblivions, Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher, and Lucy Dacus' Home Video.
Those are massive albums.
They are. Those aren't just minor indie releases. Those are critically acclaimed albums that essentially define a specific era of modern songwriting.
Absolutely.
So they vanish as a trio for 3 years, and their first actual performance back together isn't like a highly publicized reunion tour. It's just a quiet appearance in November 2021 for a charity event in San Francisco.
Which is such a low-key way to return.
Right. And then the rumor mill slowly starts up. Late 2022, there's a photo shoot. Finally, January 2023 hits, and Boygenius appears on the Coachella lineup poster. It's confirmed.
Your fans went wild.
Oh, totally.
Right.
But taking a step back, this is what I don't get. It's like a cinematic superhero team-up, Like the Avengers of indie rock.
That's a great way to put it.
They each went off to get their own successful standalone franchise before reuniting for the crossover event. But if you are Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, or Julien Baker, you own the stage right now. You have total creative control over your solo work. Why would 3 artists at the absolute peak of their solo careers risk their individual momentum for a democratic group project?
And that is the core tension of their reunion. But the source material points to a very grounded answer, which is just enduring friendship.
Just friendship.
Yeah. Their return was an authentic, creative reunion, completely devoid of corporate mandates. Think about the mechanics of the music industry for a second. Historically, supergroups form when artists are trying to revitalize flagging careers.
Right, like a comeback strategy.
Exactly. Or when they want to pool their fan bases to squeeze out some extra revenue. But Boygenius did the opposite. They came back together at a moment when they individually had the most to lose.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
By stepping away from the spotlight as solo protagonists and choosing to share a microphone, they proved to the audience that their bond and the art they made together was the actual priority.
Makes me think of an open source coding project. Like, instead of three competing operating systems trying to monopolize the market, they brought their own unique patches and code to build a shared platform that benefits all of them.
That's a perfect analogy.
And when they finally made their return official, they didn't just casually drop a song on Spotify. They launched a highly coordinated rollout. On January 18, 2023, they announced the album, and they dropped 3 lead singles simultaneously.
But free at once.
Yeah. $20, Emily, I'm Sorry, and True Blue.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of that release strategy. The streaming era is built entirely on the concept of the singular, digestible hit.
Right. You want the algorithm to push one song?
Exactly. If you release 3 songs at once, you risk fracturing your audience's attention and splitting your streaming numbers. But Boygenius wasn't optimizing for algorithms. They're making a statement about their internal democracy.
Oh, because each song features a different member.
Yes. By dropping 3 tracks, each one acting as a showcase for a different member, they gave equal footing to each distinct voice right out of the gate. So $20 leans heavily into Julien Baker's style.
All right.
Emily, I'm Sorry, highlights Phoebe Bridgers.
Hello.
And True Blue gives us Lucy Dacus.
It explicitly tells you, as the listener, that there is no lead singer in this band.
Precisely.
And they follow that up on March 1st with a 4th single, Not Strong Enough. The music video for that track is edited by Phoebe Bridgers' brother, Jackson Bridgers, and it feels very intimate, very DIY.
Yeah, it's basically just home movie footage of the band hanging out.
Right, going to amusement park, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then March 30th arrives. The day before the album drops, the strategy takes a hard left turn. They release a promotional short film titled simply The Film.
And this wasn't just a collection of behind-the-scenes clips. The film was a highly produced visual project that interconnected those first 3 singles, Emily, I'm Sorry, and True Blue, into a single cohesive narrative experience.
Right. And it was directed by Kristen Stewart, as in Hollywood actress and director Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, a massive name.
And they gave this project a proper red carpet film premiere at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles, complete with a live Q&A for the press.
It was a huge event.
But I have to be honest here. When I see an indie rock band bring in a massive Hollywood A-lister to direct a short film and then throw an LA premiere for it, it sort of sets off my sellout alarm. Doesn't this totally contradict the gritty DIY anti-corporate ethos they built back in 2018?
I mean, it's a completely fair skepticism. When independent artists suddenly embrace Hollywood production values, it often feels like a gimmick masking a lack of substance.
Exactly.
But if you look at the mechanics of the film, bringing in Kristen Stewart wasn't about adding superficial gloss. It was about elevating the visual presentation to match the ambitious scope of the music.
So you're saying it was justified by the art itself?
Right. The DIY video for Not Strong Enough proved they still had that intimate grassroots connection. The film proved they could also execute a grand, interconnected, artistic vision.
That makes sense.
They were essentially signaling to the industry that the record wasn't just a fun side project between friends anymore. It was a major artistic statement that deserved cinematic reverence.
And reading through the critical reception, it's clear the industry recognized that ambition. The record landed a 90 out of 100 on Metacritic, which signifies universal acclaim.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah. NME called it an instant classic. And Rolling Stone noted that the band managed to recombine their individual styles to transcend any kind of supergroup cliché.
That's high praise.
It is. But my personal favorite takeaway from the sources comes from Pop Matters, who wrote that the album is a testimony to aesthetic commonality, enduring friendship, and the magic of teamwork. Which honestly sounds like a quote pulled from a corporate retreat seminar, but here it actually holds weight.
It does hold weight because that teamwork is physically baked into the album's credits. If you look at the liner notes, they show that all 12 tracks were written by Boygenius as a collective.
So no one was just bringing in finished songs.
No, it isn't a situation where Lucy brings in a finished song and just tells the others to sing backup on the chorus. They shared democratic lead vocal duties across the entire track list. And even when one voice steps to the forefront, the arrangements and the harmonies are intricately woven with the sensibilities of the other two.
That collaboration really shines through. And they also weave in these brilliant musical nods to their heroes and to their own history.
The interpolations.
Yes. The track Leonard Cohen actually contains a lyric from Cohen's real-life song, Anthem. Songwriter Paul Simon is thanked directly in the liner notes for his inspiration on the track, Cool About It.
Which is a lovely nod.
And then they do something really meta on the track, Letter to an Old Poet, which features a musical interpolation of their own 2018 song, Me and My Dog. And for anyone who might not be deep into music theory, an interpolation is basically when you take a melody or a lyric from a previously existing song and re-record it, weaving it into a brand new context.
So they are literally taking a melody from 5 years ago and having a conversation with their past selves.
Exactly.
That kind of self-referential songwriting creates a deeply layered experience. It rewards the listener who has been following their journey since the beginning. It shifts the album from just being a collection of songs to being an ongoing dialogue between the artists and the audience.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. If you happen to be someone who collects vinyl, and you bought the physical pressing of the record, Boygenius built a literal physical Easter egg right into the disc itself.
Oh, the locked groove. It is such a fascinating creative choice.
Yes. At the very end of the B-side, after the final notes of that song, Letter to an Old Poet, fade out, there is a locked groove pressed into the vinyl. Normally, when a record finishes, the needle travels to the center and the player automatically stops.
Right, that's how it usually works.
But with a locked groove, the physical indentation on the record forms a perfect circle. When the needle hits it, it just loops endlessly. And the audio hidden in that loop is the band repeating a single word, waiting, over and over, waiting, waiting.
It is almost haunting.
And it will not stop until you physically walk across the room and lift the needle off the turntable. I mean, think about the mechanics of that, Sadek. The band is literally forcing you to actively participate to end the album.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the locked groove is a profound physical manifestation of the fan's experience. As a listener, you literally waited 5 years between the 2018 EP and this 2023 album.
Oh, wow. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah. By trapping the needle in that loop, Boygenius is playfully acknowledging that anticipation. In an era dominated by passive streaming, where algorithms just endlessly feed you background music, they are demanding that you engage with their art physically and intellectually. You have to break the spell yourself.
That is so smart.
That level of intentionality, where even the physical manufacturing of the merchandise serves the thematic narrative of the music, is exactly why critics were so captivated.
And that critical captivation quickly turned into serious commercial momentum. And I don't just mean on niche indie blogs. We are talking about dominating the chart.
The numbers are staggering.
Truly. The record debuted at number 4 on the U.S. Billboard 200. Internationally, it went to number 1 in the UK, Ireland, and the Netherlands. The source notes this was actually the very first number 1 album for all 3 members, individually or collectively.
That's a huge milestone.
It also pulled in gold certifications in countries like Canada and New Zealand. And just to clarify, in the modern streaming era, achieving a gold certification means your album has been streamed tens of millions of times to equal the value of traditional physical sales. It's a massive metric of popular consumption.
The commercial data proves that their deeply personal, intricately crafted music resonated on a mainstream scale, and they capitalized on that momentum by embarking on a relentless tour schedule from April to October 2023.
Relentless is definitely the right word. They headlined the Reset Concert Series, which is an outdoor multi-artist summer festival format. They launched their own standalone tour, which hit legendary venues like Madison Square Garden in New York and the Hollywood Bowl in L.A.
Iconic stages.
Right. And they played major international festivals like Coachella and Rock en Seine in France. And maybe the most surreal crossover moment, they performed Not Strong Enough in front of tens of thousands of people during Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour in Nashville because Phoebe Bridgers happened to be one of the opening acts.
Talk about a shift in scale.
Exactly. They went from playing intimate clubs to playing literal stadiums.
And the culmination of all this cultural saturation happened at the 66th Annual Grammy Awards, the music industry's highest institutional honor. The album and its tracks received 7 nominations, including Album of the Year and Record of the Year.
7.
Yeah, and they ultimately won 3 Grammys, Best Alternative Music Album, Best Rock Song, and Best Rock Performance.
Wait, those last 2 categories are fascinating to me. They won Best Alternative Album, which, totally tracks with their indie roots, but they swept the rock categories. Best Rock Song and Best Rock Performance for Not Strong Enough.
It surprised a lot of people.
I want to get your read on this. When you picture the Recording Academy's historical definition of Best Rock Performance, you usually think of a very traditional, male-dominated, heavy distortion aesthetic.
Very true.
Does Boygenius winning these categories signify that they are single-handedly redefining what mainstream rock music looks and sounds like today?
This raises an important question about how rigid genre classifications have become and how Boygenius completely subverts them. I wouldn't say they are redefining rock music necessarily. Rather, they are reminding the industry what the core of rock music has always been.
Which is what?
Well, rock isn't just a specific guitar pedal or a demographic, it's an attitude. It's about raw emotion and authenticity. The music industry loves to put art into neat, outdated boxes, labeling something indie folk just to keep it separate from mainstream rock.
Right, to make it easier to market.
Exactly. But Boygenius completely ignores those borders. By winning in both alternative and rock categories, they proved that a song can feature intricate acoustic guitars, devastatingly vulnerable lyrics, and three-part vocal harmonies while still possessing the fundamental power of rock and roll.
That's a great point.
The band didn't alter their sound to fit the rock category. They forced the category to expand its definition to acknowledge them.
So what does this all mean? Why does a deep dive into an indie rock album matter if you aren't a musician?
That's the real takeaway here.
I want you to think about the dynamics in your own life. Whether you are navigating a corporate team project, trying to collaborate on a creative endeavor, or just examining how you interact with your own friend group. The journey of Boygenius offers a tangible lesson in the mechanics of collaboration.
It really does.
The record proves that true partnership doesn't require you to diminish your own voice or water down your unique skills just to keep the peace. Real collaboration is about finding people whose strengths complement your own and creating an environment where everyone's voice is amplified.
Yeah, it's the rare instance where the final product actually becomes greater than the sum of its parts.
Entirely, because it is built on a foundation of mutual respect.
It's a masterclass in checking your ego at the door and letting the work speak for itself. But, analyzing their journey also leaves us with a lingering paradox to consider.
What's that?
Well, Boygenius intentionally ended the physical version of their album by trapping the listener in that perpetual looping groove of the word waiting.
Right, the lost groove.
Now that Julien, Phoebe, and Lucy have topped the international charts, conquered stadium tours, won their Grammys, and reached the absolute pinnacle of collaborative success, what exactly are we, as the audience, waiting for them to do next?
That is the perfect question to end on. Thank you so much for spending time with us today and exploring the architecture of this incredible album. If you haven't yet, go listen to the record, pay attention to the harmonies, see if you can catch those lyrical interpolations we talked about, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.